All right, so I just want to start by saying I really appreciate all of the kindness and the warm welcomes and everything. I get to travel around here and there and get to see a few different congregations, and y'all are definitely one of the more welcoming congregations I've been to, and I appreciate that very much. We've got some slides that we're going to show. I think Andrew's going to get them up. I think I'm going to get them up here in a second. So this is going to be just a really informal kind of class. I'm going to talk about some of the work that we're doing at Camp Wetoga and really just kind of informing y'all on some different things that you can do to be involved as well, and just how we're continuing to grow the work and grow the mission that is Camp Wetoga. Up first, though, I wanted to show y'all, these are our board members that we currently have serving. And there's a few names that are left off of there that needed to be added on. I just didn't have time to add them on just yet. But we have a good number of congregations that are helping us out with what we're doing, that serve on the board. Board members, each congregation can have 3 board members, 2 voting members, and then 1 kind of sitting member, so that somebody doesn't come to a board meeting, they can step up and be a voting member. Our executive board, or the first 4 names that are up there, Scott Davis is the president, who's over at Habersham Church. Me is the vice president. Tim is the secretary. He's also at Atlanta Road. And then Ken Johnson is the treasurer, and he is attending Blairsville right now. He was over at McKaysville. We've been kind of updating our list and making sure that our board members that are listed are active board members. We've got some that hadn't been showing up to meetings hadn't seen them in like 8 or 9 board meetings. So we're trying to make sure that we weed out some of the people that still want to be a part of the work and others that just want to kind of be informed in what we're doing. Then as far as sessions go, things that we're doing, we have 3 weeks that we run at Camp Wetoga. We had 4 in the past, but we're at 3 right now. And our vision is eventually to get back up to 4, finding a congregation that's willing to kind of lead a week of camp. And then hopefully after that 4th week gets kind of filled, we want to honestly get up to 5 or even 6, trying to fill up the whole summer, get the campground being used as much as we can. Week 1, session 1 is led by Elijah, and they kind of combine with Piedmont Road. Paul Sperlin and John Podon are the directors for that week, but Elijah is the sponsoring congregation. Week 2, session 2 is Boardtown. Cody Bearden is the director of that week. And then week 3, we call ourselves week 4 because we used to be the 4th week. We still call ourselves week 4. But session 3 is Atlanta Road, and Tim Glover is our main director. I help him out here and there. But those are the sessions that we currently have. As far as costs go, with COVID and everything else that have happened in the past, rising costs, inflation, all the big buzzwords that we're hearing in the news all the time, our costs have gone up a little bit just to accommodate, mainly for the food. Food costs are continue to rise and continue to be an issue. But right now, registration is open for Camp Wetoga. Early registration is open until May 28th, and early registration is $180 a camper. Regular registration is $200. If you serve as staff for one of the weeks, you get a discounted rate, and that's all in the registration portal through the website. We do ask you to fill out online registrations at our website, www.campwetoga.com. But if you look at other church camps that are in operation, that have multiple weeks, things going on, we're right in par with them as far as costs go. So we're not more expensive. We're not least expensive. We're right there with everybody else. Then kind of looking at some of the activities that we do throughout the week. We'll have anywhere. Most of what I'm going to talk about is from the perspective of my week that I'm involved with, which is week 3. Most of the things that we do, we try to keep our kids busy from sun up to sundown. There's not a whole lot of downtime in between. We try to keep them running and running and running, so that when the lights go out, their heads are down on the pillow and they're out too. But things that we'll do, we have team sports games. We have a few of our, we have a number of school teachers that come to our week. They always love doing the team games and things like that because they're used to those bigger groups of kids and hanging out with them. But keeping the kids engaged. Other things that we do as well, we have a craft segment. I'm actually kind of excited because our craft lady that had been doing it for a number of years, she was taking a break, but she has decided to come out of retirement, and she's fantastic. From the Great White North of Canada, she rocks out that craft cabin pretty well. All of what we try to do as well with our activities, we try to integrate our theme. Each week can have its own independent theme. We try to work those in through the board and make sure that the board knows what each week's going to be talking about, what's going to be taught. And then even with sports, even with crafts, even with, BBs and archery, things like that, we try to weave in the theme and the lessons to each of the activities for the kids. Speaking of which, we've also got a gentleman that does a very good job with teaching the kids, not only, hey, don't just hit the bullseye, but what are all the steps up to hitting that bullseye and tying that in with scripture, making sure that we're true on our mark, making sure that we're focused, making sure that we're steady and ready, and all those different things. Bible classes, we run 2 Bible classes a day. We have a morning Bible class and an afternoon Bible class. Our older kids will go back to back on their Bible classes. For our eldest cabin, which is our high school kids, we'll do a guys class and a girls class, and the second class after that, they'll actually come together. But as for the rest of the cabins, like B1 through B3 and G1 through G3, typically they have a Bible class in the morning and a Bible class in the afternoon. You'll see that a lot of our guys are out there by the pool. If you know Scott Davis, or if you get to know Scott Davis, he'll be up here a number of times. He loves doing a pool lesson and tying that in with baptism. It's a great class to be in. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he has his fun as much as he can. So, but those are the Bible classes. I'm trying not to skip through too much. We do a daily chapel in the afternoons and the evenings. Again, kind of referring back to week 3 and what we do. I typically don't get up and speak in chapel. Our ministers don't typically get up and speak in chapel. We really put it on our eldest cabins, or our eldest boys. I will have a number of guys that have volunteered to give a lesson at camp, and I try to give them their topic around this time, and I'll give them a good month and a half to prepare a full lesson to give in chapel. They'll lead singing. They will do opening and closing prayers. We really try to take that whole idea of training up a child in the way that he should go, and when he grows old, he will not depart from it. And so what we're trying to do is during that week is really give them that opportunity to lead and see what it feels like to lead in a situation like that, so that when they go back to their home congregations, it's not as scary, it's not as intimidating, and they're more willing to get up there and do those things. Hopefully what we're trying to do, and we'll talk about it a little bit later as well, one of the projects in the works that we're talking about is an outdoor pavilion, kind of worship center almost, where we can do outdoor services. Right now we do it in the mess hall in the big gym, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. We roll with the punches when we can, so sometimes the speakers want to act up and be all kinds of funny, but the daily chapels are great for our kids to really just have the whole campground together, singing praises and having our young men lead the camp in a devotional thought and a lesson, and continue to grow in their faith that way. Other things that we do as well, it's not camp if you don't sing around the campfire, right? We do a number of campfire singings. We try to do a scavenger hunt, cabin hikes. We usually have our oldest cabins partner up with the younger cabins. They have to find their buddy, and they'll hike just up the road and hike back. But the whole time, they're connecting with those younger ones and building those relationships and building those bonds and starting to look up to that older cabin so that they can see how camp kind of runs when they get up there as well. We have canteen. Kids love candy. Who doesn't, right? Cabin skits. We do skits at the last night mainly. And then tournaments, we have things like penny hockey, or free throws, ping pong, all that kind of things. Mancala is a big one. We always have to hunt and search for the boards right before camp starts. But I want to take this time to say thank y'all though. That's a very quick rundown of what we do at camp. But here's the thing: me being here and y'all showing an interest in Camp Wetoga, that's a big deal. It's a big deal for me. God has placed Camp Wetoga in my life, and it's made such a difference in my life, and God has made such a difference in my life, and I try to share that with everybody else as much as I can. And so y'all showing an interest in that is huge for me, because as you kind of work your way into the fold and helping out camp and being a part of what Camp Wetoga is, you're going to see all those different roots kind of fan out. And you're going to see that reach that Camp Wetoga can have with the youth of this North Georgia area, really the whole Southeast. It's a really great work, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to come here and talk to y'all about it and the interest that y'all have shown as well. And then, with that said, there's still work to be done. There's a lot of things that we are working towards. I have a list of some of the things that we're looking at. We've done a number of upgrades. I don't know if you've heard, but we got air conditioning units in the cabins. That's a big one. I don't know how well that's going to work. It's kind of a new thing for us as well. But we're going to try to get that outdoor pavilion going up pretty soon. We're collecting money for that. There's a few cabins that are still kind of up for grabs. Typically, we have a congregation sponsor a cabin. Atlanta Road, we're responsible for G2. You can kind of adopt a cabin, and the upkeep for the cabin would be under your congregation's care. And we've got a few facilities that are kind of up for grabs to be able to do that. We've been doing some upgrades to the caretaker's house. We have a really wonderful caretaker and a wonderful caretaker's family, so we're very blessed for that. Removal of some trees. We've been trying to kind of combine some of our electrical expenses. We've been spending a lot on electricity lately, and we've been consolidating some of those things as well. But the big thing that we need, though, those are the improvement projects. I forgot that slide was in there. Upgrades to the boys and girls bathhouse, staff cabins. We want to get a video tour of camp going on pretty soon. So if y'all see a drone kind of flying around here and there, don't be alarmed. But the big thing that we really need is you. You are the most important resource. Camp is just a place. And I know that I talk big game about camp, and I love camp, and I love being at camp, and this is my favorite place in the world. Camp is just a bunch of buildings in the woods. But the real Camp Wetoga, the real thing that I love is those relationships with those people that I built, and that connection that we have that's also connected to our love for God and our service to God. And that's what we need more of, is we need more people. We need more people to want to be involved, whether it be, hey, I'm going to donate a little bit of money here and there, or hey, I'm going to come up and replace some boards on the cabin, or hey, we got some workers that are up here, I'm going to go bring them a lemonade. I mean, whatever you can do is a great work for Camp Wetoga and furthering that work as well. So this is what we try to do. This is a photo from a number of years ago. I'm going to try to not cry while I do this. But at the beginning of the week, I wish I had a picture of before and then this was after. At the beginning of the week, these boys didn't want anything to do with each other. At the beginning of the week, they were arguing about what bunks they wanted to be in. At the beginning of the week, they were fighting on who's going to sit next to what girl at lunch and all these different things. But by the end of the week, you couldn't separate them. By the end of the week, they were singing praises, not just in chapel, but they were singing praises walking to crafts. They were singing praises walking to the pool. They were doing all these things together. And this is at camp. 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks after camp, they're still texting each other. They're still checking in with each other. Some of these boys that are in this picture now serve on staff and help me to do the same thing that we tried to do in that picture. And that's the development that we see. That's what we're trying to accomplish, is taking a bunch of boys and a bunch of girls that may or may not see eye to eye, that may or may not like each other, but by the end of the week, they're brought together by this common thread, and that common thread is serving God, praising God, and loving Jesus. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So, with that in mind, I kind of want to open it up. If you've got any questions about camp, anything that we've got going on, I know I've shared a lot of information today, just a lot of things that we've been doing. So open floor if y'all got questions.
What's your average student level, say per week, the staff and everything?
So for our week, I want to say last year we had 130 students, and then we typically have around 50 to 60 staff. I think if we're like slap full, and I mean I'm talking about like we're bringing in bunks to add to the bunkhouses, we can accommodate up to 250 total. I won't say comfortably, but we can get them there. Good question though. And the age ranges that we look at are 8 to 18 as far as the kids go. There's a couple of kids that, I'm 7, but I turn 8 in a couple months. Come on, right? I can say for myself, and I can say for the rest of the directors as well, for the most part, we're not going to turn away somebody, especially if money's an issue. Our church, and this is another great way for y'all to get involved as well. We've got a number of our elderly members that can't be at camp and can't help serve at camp, but they still want to be a part of the work. And so they will actually collect funds throughout the years and have scholarships available to students that can't pay for it. So they'll have $200 at a time. I want to say last year we had a member that gave throughout the year. They gave enough money for like 8 scholarships for students. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, I would encourage you to talk with your elders, talk with your deacons about how that can possibly be done. Even if it's not your kids that you would be supporting, each week there's a number of kids that will need help, financial support to get to camp as well. So great question. I appreciate that. Don't be shy. I won't bite. I promise.
One thing a lot of people don't realize too is that a lot of people think that all the kids there are kids on the church and raised by people in the church. And I remember several occasions where people on registration day would have brought 3 or 4 kids over to get rid of them. They wouldn't clothe with them. They wouldn't eat like they
Right.
had nothing.
Right.
That's the best way for them to reach out to those kids.
Definitely. There was a lady, Tim, the one that I co-direct with, tells this story all the time. There was a lady that called him up like a week before camp, a week before our week, and was like, hey, I saw that y'all have an overnight camp, and it says $200. Is that a deposit? I'm like, no, that's for the whole week. That's food, lodging, everything. She goes, you do realize that like all these YMCA camps are like $1,000, $1,200 for a week, right? And y'all are like super cheap. And Tim was like, yeah, I mean, bring them, come on. and they weren't affiliated with the church. They didn't have a home congregation or anything like that. But she came and dropped off her 2 kids and left them with us for the week. And I want to say they've been coming, if not to our week, then another week for a number of years now. One of the young men in this picture right here, his family was Catholic, was raised Catholic from Mexico, and for the longest time, was scared to be in the church because, well, my mom wouldn't approve, or my dad wouldn't approve, and things like that. But that's a kid that also it goes to our congregation as well, and it was a kid that I would pick up after school and bring him to church every Wednesday night, every Sunday morning, and like I'm driving 40 minutes out of my way to go pick him up. But that's just because this kid was eager and he was willing, and at camp, he developed into this man of faith, and now is very strong in the church. Anytime that I have something going on with the youth group, he wants to be a part of it. Anytime we have something going on at camp, he wants to be a part of it as well. He actually was instrumental in wiring all of the AC units. He's an electrician now, and here, not too far from now, I'm going to be marrying him and his girlfriend, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. But probably at camp. So, but yeah, I mean that. All different walks of life, all different walks of faith end up at Camp Wetoga, and we share that gospel message with them and that truth with them, and that's the beauty of this little piece of land that we call home. So we had a number of children from different kinds of churches. Last year I was looking through the registration, and it just kind of blew my mind at how many different churches were on the list. Anything else?
Yeah, Jacob, in a given week, I know you speak for yours.
Yeah.
Roughly how many congregations, I know it varies, but how many kids are from like 8 congregations for that week, 10, 12, more?
I want to say for our week, it typically bounces between 7 to 9. I think week 1, there's 2 main congregations that lead it, but they can have anywhere upwards of 9 or 10. Week 2, I think, is a little bit smaller, maybe 4 or 5 that are affiliated with that week. And we have our sponsoring congregations that take on a lot of the financial burden of leading that week of camp, but all of the supporting congregations of that week will feed into it, mainly with staff, helping out in the kitchen, things like that. So I can say personally for our week, if it was just Atlanta Road, we couldn't get it done. We couldn't get all the work done. We couldn't take care of all the kids. We need our congregations that help support us in that effort as well. So. Any other questions?
This is
Yeah.
like an outreach program worldwide, but it's local.
Definitely.
To see those local like this
Mhm.
happening, and what you told us this morning, look what happened to you.
Right.
How many kids can learn from what you're doing in this program, and as they grow up, and they can be part of it too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've had a number of marriages from Camp Wetoga, those that met at camp that, fell in love through camp and beyond camp as well. Last year we had 8 or 9 baptisms in that 1 week of camp. We've got a number of kids that go on to Faulkner University, to Freed-Hardeman University. We've got a couple of girls they're in middle school now, but they're already convinced that they're going to go to Harding. But kind of we usually bring in some reps from those universities as well, in our week in particular, to just promote that Christian education. And we have a number of our kids that end up going to those universities, and just kind of driving that home for them. But it's a wonderful work that God has truly blessed me with, and that God is hopefully going to bless you with as well. And if there's any way that you want to get affiliated, if there's any way that you want to be involved with the work at Camp Wetoga and the mission that is Camp Wetoga, let us know, let the board know. I don't have any contact information up there, but if you want to come talk to me, I'll give you my phone number, my email, all that good stuff. But I really appreciate y'all's time. Hopefully God continues to bless this work. But if there are no other questions, I'm pretty much set. So thank y'all for your time.